Once there was an elephant who tried to use the telephant. No, I mean an elephone who tried to use the telephone. Dear me, I'm not certain quite that even now I've got it right. However it was, he got his trunk entangled in the telefunk. The more he tried to get it free, the louder buzzed the telefee. I fear I'd better drop the song of Elefop and Telephone. Welcome to Poetry, Grade 3s. This is one of my favorite types of writing to teach. And over the next few weeks, we're going to be writing a different poem each week, one each week. This poem was called Ella Telephony by Laura Elizabeth Richards. And it was a silly, funny poem that rhymed. But all poems don't have to rhyme. They don't all have to be silly. There's many different types of poetry. Some of them describe beautiful things. Some describe feelings about things. So there's many different types, and we'll be exploring some of those. Today we're going to be writing a specific poem called an acrostic poem. And you are going to find what you need in your brown or yellow envelope that was in the bag of materials that was picked up from the school. And inside there you will find a booklet that looks like this, called My Book of Poetry, and you are going to need that for today's lesson. I'm going to set up the document camera so I can show you a poem that I've been working on, and we're going to explore more about an acrostic poem. I'll see you in a moment. Okay, here we go. So on your cover, you're very welcome to decorate this, color up the border, color in the letters if you like. You might even want to draw something that represents writing or poetry, so that could be a book, a pencil, a pen, whatever you like. And here, the author and illustrator of this book of poetry is going to be you. So on this line here, you can write your name, first and last name. All right. We are going to do the first poem in this booklet. We're actually probably not going to work in order as this table of contents says, but we are starting with number 1 today, which is an acrostic poem. You should have this page in your booklet as well. It just tells you a little bit about what an acrostic poem is. It's poems that spell a word or a name going down. So you can see here in the example we've got the word candy. So that's the word that this poem is about. The words that go across should describe the word or name. So you could also write your name here, the letters of your name, and then words that start with those letters describing you. And I'm sure you've done poems like this in your other classes, in grade 2, maybe even in grade 1. Let's take a look at this poem. I actually really like this one. So in this acrostic poem, there's just one word for each letter. We don't have to do that, and I'm going to show you an example after of how you can have more than one word here. But let's just take a look at how the author of this poem wrote words about candy. Chocolate. So it starts with C, and it's definitely a type of candy. Addicting. Now that means that once you start, it's hard to stop. And candy can definitely be like that. It's hard to eat just one candy out of a bag. Chocolate, addicting. And then the N, this author actually was very clever and put some hyphens in there to put these words together to make a little phrase. Never get enough. Isn't that true? It almost feels like you never can get enough candy. D, delicious. And Y, yummy. And so those two words mean something very similar, but they found two different words to use. Okay, so again, it spells the word candy. And the first word, or the word beside the letter, starts with that letter. All right, So I'm going to do one, and you can choose any word that you would like to. And I'm going to do one of my favorite places. You know, I have two favorite places, so this is going to be the one that starts with H. You got it. It's going to be Hawaii. Now what I like to do is just make the first letter quite big, and then I'm going to make my other letters smaller. But I want this to stand out. In fact, I'm going to write my whole word down here. Hawaii has kind of a tricky spelling. Okay. Let's see if I can focus that. That's better. All right, so I'm going to start. In this first example, I'm just going to use one word like the candy example did. So when I think of Hawaii, there's definitely, it's hot there, but I'm going to use the word heat. And A, I think Hawaii is pretty amazing. One of my favorite things to see there is to go on hikes and come across some waterfalls. So you can see how this is going so far. Heat, amazing, waterfalls. It's really describing Hawaii. I've got another A. Well, there's actually a Hawaiian word, aloha. And that means hello in Hawaiian. And for I, inviting. It's a very inviting place. In fact, I can hear it calling my name right now. It's pretty incredible as well. Now, I did this pretty quickly, but to tell you the truth, I had already thought of my words before I did this video. So I want you to take time when you're thinking about your words, because it might not be the first word that pops into your head. For example, hot was what popped into my head first, and I thought heat would go better in my poem. And I had to really think about these I words. They were harder to think of. All right, so here's my poem. Hawaii. Heat, amazing, waterfalls, aloha, inviting, incredible. I think that does a pretty good job of describing it. I just wrote that on a blank paper, and if you don't have your poetry booklet, you can do the same. But in your booklet, you have a page that looks like this. Alright, so at the top it says Acrostic Poem, and it gives you some directions. Now I gave you some examples in your schedule this week of things to think about, like your name or names of family members like mother, father, brother, sister, or just the word friend. If you wanted a real challenge, you could do germs, since we've been talking about viruses this week. But this will give you some other directions here too. Think of something you love or feel inspired to write about. That's why I chose Hawaii. So you could do the same. Write that word going down the left side of your paper. Now remember, we are all right-handed in our class this year, and so we know that the left side is the other side of the paper than the side that we write with. So this is my right hand because I write with it. So this is my left hand, so this is the left side of the paper. Think of words that begin with each letter that describe your word and write them beside each letter. Now, in both of the examples we've seen, the candy and my Hawaii poem, we wrote for most of them, we wrote just one word. Well, I've written already my poem about Hawaii, my acrostic poem, and I've used phrases, which are parts of sentences. They're groups of words. And it's actually a little bit easier, I find, to do this than to think of just one word. So when you do your poem, that's going to be up to you, if you want to use one word or phrases like I did. Okay, so I'm first actually going to show you and because this was in my booklet, I made it a little fancier. I did it in pencil first. So here's my Hawaii. And I just did a little bit fancier letters and I've colored them in. It's kind of hard to see in that light. Okay. And I'm going to show you each line. And I changed it up. Instead of heat, I wrote hibiscus flowers everywhere. Hibiscus flowers are little flowers that you find growing in Hawaii everywhere. There's many bright yellow ones, pink ones, white ones, and they smell really good too. Hibiscus flowers everywhere. Amazing ocean views. So in my first poem, I just had the word amazing, but in this one, I'm adding more words, and so I can add ocean views, which I think is even more powerful. W, waves rolling onto shore. Love playing in the waves. Aloha greetings from friendly people. So again, I took the word that I had in my other poem, but I just added more to it. Invites me to relax. Just can't help but be relaxed when I'm in Hawaii. And the other I, now I can use that I as a word because I'm writing more words. I can't wait to go again. Hibiscus flowers everywhere, amazing ocean views, waves rolling onto shore. Aloha greetings from friendly people, invites me to relax. I can't wait to go again. Hawaii. All right, so that is my example. I want you to choose a word, whether it's your name or something that you love, and I want you to make your own acrostic poem. You can do the type of acrostic poem where you do just one word going across with each of your letters, or you can do like I did on this one and write a group of words. That's up to you. The one thing that I do want to say to you is I do not want you to write your poem about video games. Sometimes we use that as a topic in other types of writing, but in our poetry, we are not going to use video games. So I want you to find something else that you are passionate about that you can write about. All right, I look forward to seeing your poems.